In terms of what we've seen today, we've seen one is really a campaign, which is around brand awareness and tune-in, and one is really a program. I mean, yours is a program. It's not something that lives and dies. It's there forever.
It's a program, yeah.
And then the BlackBerry is really the basic permanent mobile web presence of a brand. And I think brands in different life stages of being exposed to mobile are going to be in those different places. But if you are new to mobile, like if you go on the if-then to achieve, creative success or what works and why, and this is open to anyone in any particular order, if you're new to mobile, then what should you be doing? And then I'm going to ask you, if you're, been mobile for forever, what should you be doing?
Well, I think, is this thing on? Okay. Yeah, I think Richard brings up a really good point in that, first and foremost, you want to identify what those goals are with the brand that you're working with. And they differ, sometimes it's reach, sometimes it's flash. They just want to do something really sexy and cool and create a buzz. And we have a lot of clients coming to us, looking to build an iPhone application because that's really the biggest thing right now in the media. But what we'll always do is sort of map where their audience is. And sometimes they're on iPhones, and then an iPhone application could make sense if they're looking for this really rich experience with a lot of bells and whistles, so to speak. But if they're not, there's a number of other application platforms out there that make sense, like BlackBerry and Palm Pre. And in most cases, the mobile web is still a great place to create a campaign or an experience that's going to provide that richness, because you can do a lot of bells and whistles today that you couldn't do 2 years ago, where not as many consumers were on these smartphones. But you have an opportunity to extend the reach of the audience. So I mean, those are really sort of the first two steps: identify the goal, and then identify where the audience is.
For us, I think we as a media company, planning and buying, we have a lot of clients who come to us and say, okay, I read the Wall Street Journal, I read IAB newsletter, we need to do mobile marketing. And the first question we always ask is, well, where are you going to take them? And I think a lot of brands don't have sites that are optimized for all devices or particular devices that where their clients are. So I think that is the first question we always ask, is where you're going to land them, because it's assumed that brands have websites or campaigns have websites, and so banner ads might lead to those websites. So I think that's the biggest question we get. When we try to think about if you're brand new to the mobile space, there are plenty of ways to have long-term engagement with your audience, but just like anything, if you build it and don't tell anyone about it, no one will go there. So having those short-term awareness tactics are necessary. It's not just enough to build. You have to, as you said, turn on the lights and show that it's a place where they want to be. So not to tout media, but media and creative have to go hand in hand, especially in the mobile space. And I think we keep seeing that more and more as we go along.
Yeah, I think you raise a good point too, in that it's reach versus engagement. In the world of infinite budgets, which I'm sure all clients have, right? You could spend a lot of money on building a very cool, engaging application, or create a robust mobile website, and spend a lot of money on media. But in the case of Discovery Channel, when the goal was get people to engage with the brand, tune into this particular program during this particular time, we didn't need a lot of engagement around that. We just needed to have a lot of reach. So in that case, media really dominated, and the mobile engagement elements were good enough. They were very good. They were very engaging to the consumer, but it didn't require a whole lot of development. So again, if you've got a limited budget, it's going to depend upon the goal.
I mean, I'm definitely a firm believer in supporting mobile sites and mobile applications with mobile media. They go hand in hand, but I think more today than ever before, we're starting to see a lot of natural traffic to our mobile sites, because consumers, again, they've got these new phones, they've got full keyboards, and they're typing in the URLs that they're used to typing in. So BlackBerry, for an example, the mobile website is blackberry.com. Taco Bell, the site that was shown this morning, it's tacobell.com. And we're seeing a huge percentage of the traffic coming to those sites that just naturally. And it's really important to keep that URL consistent and use some sort of switcher to point the user to the appropriate site and the appropriate property, whether if they're coming in through the wired web or through a mobile browser. So we're starting to see a lot of natural traffic to mobile websites, which is a great sign of the advancement of the space and how many people are gravitating towards the mobile web.
Okay, so that's if you're new. So what if you're like a brand that's done it all, seen it all? What happens now? I mean, if you're one of those top 10, 20 brands in the world, like you have the pleasure of working with, Richard, and I'm sure we've also worked with others, what then do they need to be doing to continue to lift the game? Like they're so far ahead from some brands that, they could sit and do nothing for 2 years and it would still be amazing. But if we want to be here next year and talk about what Nike or what BlackBerry might be doing, then what should they be looking at?
I think the first thing they need to start looking at is integration, so including mobile call to actions into your print. I think that's something that's finally becoming a reality in the US, and I think the iPhone has actually helped push that because it's opened the eyes of the creative community that, hey, mobile's here and it's real. So including call to actions in traditional, such as what the Big Spaceship CEO founder said, and then also in consolidation and ensuring that you're consolidating your mobile efforts into under one roof, both from an SMS standpoint, so all of these databases are living under one short code, build some smart logic for that collection of information so that you can really retarget to those individuals in a smart way moving forward. And I think those two steps make the most sense for brands that are sort of tested and learned that this is a viable medium and one with a lot of opportunity today, as well as moving forward. So it's really key to start planning for the next 18, 24 months, and those two efforts, especially the consolidation, are really, really important. You can just talk to brands that have gone through it in the email space, where they've sort of have these databases living all over the place, and now they're trying to bring them all back together, and it's really costly and very time-consuming and very difficult. So, I mean, look at those learnings that you've gained from, the digital, or I should say the first digital revolution, and leverage them as you're starting to really look at investing in mobile for a long-term play.
For us, it's location, 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 location. And I think the local media aspects will continue to boon through this. And if you can provide enough of an incentive, I think Nike can do this, to have people give you their location in a permanent way, replicating like a Foursquare model on the iPhone, having people opt in to telling you where they are, and then using that data to relocate and remessage based and place advertising where people happen to be. If a brand can crack that nut, I think that will be something that we could have a whole conference on next year.
I'm going to add to that too, in that I think for brands who have done it all and seen it all, there's going to be two sort of things that they can focus on. One is a deeper experience, but really utility, something that's going to have perpetual life, something that the consumer can engage with ongoing. And then again, if they've done it all and seen it all and they already have that, then it's going to be about promotional. And we've seen a lot of really cool and interesting applications and programs that are short-lived but very, very deep experiences. Even like last year around the Super Bowl, Bud had video snippets, and you could get the secret commercial on the mobile website. So that deeper level of engagement, if they've kind of done it all and seen it all.
Yeah, I think everything that everyone on the panel said makes a lot of sense. I think, in terms of like integrating location, I think that's definitely something that's in the future roadmap. My first thought would be, get the brands in a place where every brand has a mobile site that is accessed through their typical URL, making sure that mobile site is accessible across all the platforms, iPhone, BlackBerry, Palm, 240, 176. Make sure there's proper language tunnels in place so that the users can access local specific content. I think that's the first step. And even though it's a simple mobile website, people may say, hey, why don't you try to do some of the more advanced stuff? I think the first thing that we have to do is just get the brands to turn the lights on.